Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Connected Wellness Podcast. I am Rachel Ann. I'm here with the lovely Mary Ann and our two very special guests. We'll introduce them in a little bit. But we are here and we are so passionate about wellness.
Here in this podcast, we like to talk about the different ways that our physical, emotional, and spiritual health is all connected, and how we can take better care of our whole selves holistically so we can live our best lives. We're really excited that you're here with us on the journey. We're excited for episode 15.
Yeah!
That's got to be like, something special, right? The 15th episode.
Yeah, girl.
And what's super exciting is two of my absolute favorite people are here joining us. So this is like a big treat for me because we're going to talk about dating. All right. So we thought Rachel Ann and we can't do this alone. We need some reinforcements.
Yeah.
Right. We have some people that have a lot of experience, a lot of passion that want to talk about dating. So let me tell you about these two beautiful ladies before we get into our wellness wins. Okay. So first we have Mary Ann. Mary Ann is a wife, a dog mom, a singer-songwriter, and a pharmacist. She wears many hats, who has a heart for seeking and sharing the truth about God, personal growth, and authenticity in relationships. So she really is the one who inspired me that we should talk about this relationships and dating topic. So thank you, Mary Ann, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And then we also have Marina. Marina is also a pharmacist. She's a world traveler. Man, she's everywhere all of the time. She's a bit of a wannabe real estate guru, so we can hit her up for many different things. But in general, she just loves life. She loves exploring new things, exploring new places, and meeting new people. And she is here today as our current dater. So very excited to hear from you about that. But yeah, welcome, Marina. So happy to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we dig into the dating topic, which, I feel like we need a drink. I feel like we should be cheersing, something before we talk about this. But we're going to cheers our wellness wins first, I think. Okay, so anyone want to start? Who feels really excited to share their wellness win?
I can start.
All right, go for it.
Okay, I kind of have two, little one and a big one. So my little, it's not a little one, but it's a big one. It is being on this podcast. Two amazing ladies. That's definitely a wellness win for me. Thank you. Second one was this week I learned something that would in the past upset me very much. And in the end, I was like, God, thank you for showing this to me. And now I can move forward peacefully. So that was
wow. That's huge, Marina.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's so great. We are honored to be a part of your wellness win.
All right, who's next?
I guess you've inspired me to share two now. I have a little one and a big one. I had just gone through a pretty stressful time studying for board exams here in America. And so I guess a big wellness win was being able to travel. And we went to Portugal. It was a very nice time to just disconnect. And it was just a good time, good blessing to be able to do that. And then a little one that was just this morning was just kind of setting the goal of, usually when we set a goal for weight loss, it's like 9,000 pounds. Got to lose them in 2 weeks. And so I just kind of gave myself the goal of 5 pounds. And this morning, instead of having a chocolate cake that I had hiding in the house, I had oatmeal. So it was very good.
Nice. Nice. You go, girl.
Yeah, it is all about one little choice at a time. So that's awesome. You made the first good choice. You're on your way. Yeah, yes. Good job. All right, Rachel, what do you got?
What do I got? So my wellness win was actually earlier today, where today was just a little bit of a hectic day in a surprising way. I wasn't expecting my schedule to look what it was looking like. And I was like, oh man, I don't have as much time to go to the gym. I'm really mad. Like I have a very specific like gym routine. I know what machines I'm using. I time it out perfectly, the whole shebang. But I didn't have time to do all of that. And so I was just like, I'm not going to go to the gym. It's a dub. It is what it is. And then I was like, nah, girl, you can still go to the gym. You just don't have to do all of the things that you used to do. Like you could just do one of the machines instead of all of the machines. Like you can still get your workout in. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can do that. Like that is like actually a thing. And then I was like, oh my gosh, Rachel, what are the other things in your life that you just said no to because you just didn't want to do a small part? Like how would it impact your life if you did smaller chunks of things instead of like everything all at one time? So that was a lot for me to be thinking about while I was working out today, but I was really proud of myself that I was like, no, I'm going to push through. It felt very weird. I was still really mad. I was like, I don't want to leave the gym, but I still did. And I was like, you did your workout. Good job, Rachel. So that's my wellness
Yeah,
win.
very good job. Well,
Thank you.
if you recall, probably not, but one of my recent reels, I said one of the keys to anything, I think, is flexibility. So that's exactly what you just demonstrated. You know, I can't do exactly what I wanted to do, but that doesn't mean I don't do anything at all, right? You just be flexible and do your best. Good job.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. How about you? What is yours?
So mine is, I read about this technique of dealing with difficult emotions. It's called Trap It, Map It, Zap It. Okay, so let me tell you real quickly what it is, because I actually got to use it. I was getting really frustrated with something that was happening at work. Like I couldn't get answers that I needed, and you know, someone was changing the time on me for something, and I was just getting really annoyed like this whole week about stuff happening at work. So one time someone was changing the time on me for something, and I was like getting super frustrated and irritated. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. So trap it is like identify the emotion, right? What am I feeling? Well, I'm feeling super frustrated, and right? So map it is why. Why am I feeling so annoyed? Because, you know, I feel like this person is not respecting my time. I feel like they're not respecting my, my needs about, what's happening right here, like whatever it is, that's why am I feeling this way? And then the zap it is kind of like respond to that. Well, when I really thought about it, I was like, I don't think this person knows how their changes are impacting me, right? Like I'm getting super irritated, but I don't think that they realize that I have all these other things to plan around. I have all this other stuff in my other role. This is because I'm taking on a third role at work. So that's why I have like all this other stuff going on. So when I thought about it, I was like, I don't think, I can't blame this person. I can't be mad at this person because I don't think they realize like what's really going on. And that really did help to de-escalate my negative emotions. So I was like, woohoo. Something I read worked. It helped me. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
What is it again? Trap it, map it, zap it. We could talk about it another time, but I really did find it helpful. Yeah.
Wow. You go, girl. Look at you using things, having it work, applying it, applying the knowledge.
All right, guys, we are doing amazing, clearly. Can we do like a 4-way high five right here for our wellness wins? Super proud of us. Good job. Okay. All right, but we got to get down to the nitty gritty. Why are we here? Why did we recruit these beautiful ladies? What are we going to talk about? Marianne, I'm going to let you start us off. Why is this something you're so passionate about? Talking about dating, especially maybe in our community.
Yeah, I feel like for me, dating was a very difficult time. I had a lot to learn about myself, and I had a lot to learn about how to be in relationship in like a healthy way. So God did a lot of work in my heart. I went through some difficult relationships. Some were, maybe even emotionally abusive a little bit. And I had to learn how to be okay again. And I feel like a lot of people have similar experiences, or, we all go through heartbreak and that kind of thing. But learning to sort of set my expectations in a realistic way, and to learn how to grow. I think the process of growth was a difficult one for me. It was uncomfortable, but it led to a lot of really good things, and God brought me to this place that I'm in.
Yeah. So, Marina, as the current dater, so Marianne said she had some difficult times dating. How would you describe your dating journey?
Oh, it's a rough world out there. No, I would definitely say the same. I will say also, to be fair, I have met some incredible people. It's not all awful out there. There are a lot of positive people, a lot of people who bring positivity to your life. I was just talking to a friend the other day, and I was saying, I think genuinely everybody I meet, I'm supposed to learn something from them. And I've definitely learned, but I'm not going to deny that it is stressful. It's hard, especially being taught my whole life, dating is bad. Don't date. Don't talk to boys. Don't do this. And then they're like, at what, 21, 22, why aren't you married yet? You're not seeing anybody? You're not talking to anybody? So, of course, it's stressful. But as an adult, you learn and you mature, and you have a lot of great friends and people you look up to. So it's not bad.
Yeah. What a positive spin. I feel like most people, you ask them, hey, what's dating like in 2023? And they're just like, no words, no words. But I love that you can take some positive experiences from that. Yeah. I mean, I think that speaks to you, your personality, looking for the positive for sure.
I mean, you have to filter a lot
maturity.
too.
Yeah. What'd you say, Marianne?
I was saying, I think it shows maturity and growth. So that's really great.
Which is probably very important for serious dating, right? Like dating, when we say serious dating, I mean like dating with the intention of finding like a long-term or lifetime partner, right? Like versus dating when perhaps we were, 19. Mom and dad, I'm sorry if you're listening. That was not serious dating. That was messing around dating, but yes, for serious dating, that maturity is super important. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Like, what are some things that anyone who's dating can maybe think about how to make it slightly less difficult, how to maintain their wellness and not like lose themselves entirely in the process that can be difficult and disheartening?
Marina?
So I would say be patient, be kind to yourself. We are our worst critics. So, I have my friends that are like, you're a catch, you're amazing. Anybody would be so lucky to have you. But until you believe that yourself, you will not find a quality person. So you're sitting there telling yourself, no, there's nobody out there. There's no good fish in the sea. You're not going to find any. So I think be patient, be kind to yourself, filter appropriately, look for know what you're looking for. Don't just go out there and be like, I'm going to find my husband tomorrow. So yeah, that would be what I would have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think knowing yourself is really important. I think you have to kind of understand what your personality is and, where your strengths are, what your values are. Values are like the handrails, as we're climbing up the stairs. They help guide us and support us. And when we know our weaknesses, I heard the saying, we repeat what we don't repair. So I feel like, when we have people around us speaking into our life, it gives us another set of eyes so that we can see what our weaknesses are. Like we were talking before recording, and we were talking about how, if someone is codependent, they're going to be attracted to someone who is very strong-willed maybe, and they could potentially feel kind of suffocated by that, and they might not really have the chance to flourish as a person. So if we have someone kind of guiding us and helping us, or even we're just taking that time to be retrospective and, after a relationship ends, we might sit and write what was the good, what was the bad, what did I learn about myself, what did I learn about what I need in a partner, and then making actual positive steps, measurable steps to create change and growth. So if I'm having a hard time making decisions independently, I might go and start trying to make decisions, and just little by little incorporate that in my day. And, we tackle whatever different weaknesses we might have in that way. And
I love that. That's really beautiful. It makes me think about, I'm going to try to not talk too much because I'm married, Rachel. This is for people who are dating. But it makes me think about when I was dating, there was a situationship I was in for a little bit and it didn't work out. Praise the Lord, it didn't work out. And I say that he was a great guy, but I had a moment where I was like, yo, if I was to actually be in a relationship right now, would I be the type of girlfriend I want to be? And the answer was no. And it's not to say that I was this awful person that sucks at life. It was to say that there was a lot of parts of me that still really needed a lot of healing and understanding and repair, just like you said, Marianne. And I remember when I was dating my now husband, when things were getting serious, I was like, am I ready to be a wife? What do I think a wife entails? What are the characteristics of a wife? But also, how do I want to feel and think and act as a wife in a way that is congruent to who I am as a person, and figuring out what are my values, what are the things I have to unlearn from, my family, my friends, from society, from even some unhealthy purity culture things too. What type of person do I want to be when I'm married, essentially? And then that brought up a list of things, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do something about it. And as I was doing something about it, there was a whole newness that our relationship had that really allowed us to be prepared for marriage. So I love that you put it that way, because I don't think we realize how sensitive we are to the things around us and the messages that we receive, and being really careful about who's speaking into our lives. What are the messages we're believing about ourselves, about love, about marriage? I have a whole thing about relationship goals. That's for another episode. But who are your relationship goals? If you have them, and should you have them, is that an unhealthy standard for you to have? So I love that you brought that up. I did think of a question about red flags, but I don't know, Wabasalba, if we are bringing up red flags or not. So I'm gonna pass it back to you.
I mean, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about, but I'll just say real quickly, something that you said, Marianne, and you too, Rachel, that's so much introspection, and a lot of us are not prepared for that. To you asked the question, Rachel, am I ready to be a wife? Right? It's very difficult for us to do that much introspection. And if you see anything bad, who wants to be no, I suck, right? Right? Kind of like what you said, no, I would be a terrible wife right now. I need to do something about that. So how can we actually do that? Without me, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it almost sounds like you have to be in therapy or something to have somebody, maybe mirroring your own beliefs and actions and whatever to you, because that's so difficult, to look at yourself objectively. So I don't know what you guys think, because I agree with you. That's super important. And how could you possibly get into a healthy relationship if you don't know yourself, objectively, without, sugarcoating things and giving yourself excuses for things, right? So besides therapy, what else we got to help us with that? Jesus. I'm going to go with answer. Jesus. Yeah.
Jesus. Yes, that's a great one. And also, just having people in your life that you can trust and will be objective with you, whether that's a spiritual guide or just a mature friend. You have to be honest about who you are choosing to trust in that particular kind of space. Is it someone who's really looking out for you? Is it someone who's wise, right? The Bible talks about surrounding ourselves with wise people. I think surrounding yourself with the right people, doing it prayerfully, definitely Jesus, right? And definitely therapy.
All right, you want to talk about red flags now, since no one else can tell us how to introspect? Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, it's a hard one. It's a hard one.
It is a hard one. I'll say one thing and then we go to the red flags. I said I wasn't going to talk a lot, and here I am, just chatty Kathy. So I'll be very quick. One thing I was thinking about was surrounding myself with wise counsel, like Marianne said, but also surrounding myself with people that have healthy marriages. So kind of like how when I was younger in my career, I had mentors who could guide me. You know, they looked over my resume. They were like, oh, this is a really great position you should check out. This is how you present yourself in an interview, things like that. I was like, I should have mentors in like different aspects of my life. And some of these mentors I've had to hire or pay. Some of them have been like free and friends and people that I know, but some of them have been like in a more professional sense. So I think what was helpful for me was realizing there were some marriages I was like, I love this for y'all. I do not love it for me. As long as you're being healthy and, you know, do you, boo, but not for me. But finding like marriages that seemed healthy. And I was like, oh, I love the way that she just spoke to her husband. I love how respectful she was. And she was so like funny at the same time. That's something that I want to do. Oh, I love how her husband was really such a good listener and is an active listener and seems to hold space for her. That's something that's important for me. So that's something I'll like, you know, keep in mind. So for me, that was a really big thing. And it was hard. I live in New York City. Most people in my age group are single and are dating. I'm the first one in my friendship group, one of the first ones in my friendship groups who is married. So it was a little bit hard to find that, but it was worth the search to find that. And a lot of it did come from the church communities that I've been a part of too. Mm-hmm. So that's my little spiel. And then now we can talk about red flags. And I promise I'll stop talking now.
I thought that was great. I don't think you should stop talking.
Oh, I agree.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so what about red flags? Like, what are they? Are there some firm ones? Does everybody have unique ones? Like, yeah, what do you guys think about red flags? How do you approach them, Marina? Yeah.
They're very much there. And the older we get, there are more red flags than there are green flags. So you have to definitely filter through that. In terms of red flags, I definitely don't 100% overlook them because it is situational. I will say that if somebody's red flag is like, for example, they don't own a car. Okay, maybe they live in New York City. Maybe they don't need a car, you know? That's a very simple one. But also, you can also ask them about it. I am big on communication. I ask a lot. I have no filter sometimes, and it sometimes gets me in trouble. So I'll be like, hey, so what's the reason why you think this way? Or how do you feel, growing up in a one-parent household? How do you feel about certain things that are happening in the world? And if there are things that you don't think that you can get past, yeah, that's a red flag. Mm-hmm. Somebody very wise once told me, the bad in your partner do not get better when you're married. They only get worse. They are more accentuated. So if you're overlooking something because, you're in lovey-dovey land and it's still the honeymoon phase, it's not going to go away. If anything, it'll get worse. And the honeymoon phase does fade. Believe it or not, it happens to a lot of us. It doesn't have to, but it does. And I think it is very important to look at red flags and evaluate them appropriately.
Do you guys think there are some baseline, like this should be for, say someone that you love or your friend or anyone is asking you, would you say like, these are, a couple of baseline red flags. If you see this, I would run the other direction. Like, is there anything like that big? Or like you said, I know a lot of it is situational, and I agree. You should absolutely just discuss things and don't make snap decisions, or judgments. Like be open to hearing the other person's perspective. But do you think there's some things that you would just be like, no, absolutely not. I'm running the other way?
I would say somebody without a passport. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, in our community, yes, that might be a concerning one. Yeah.
In my community, I would say I would like somebody, of course, to be Christian and to have that same level of spirituality that I do. I am not the best Christian in the world. I am growing every day, but I would like to have somebody who is looking for the same things as I am. And, you know, as our culture, as Coptic Christians, this is what we're surrounded with. This is what I grew up with. And I often say, this is what made me who I am. You love me for being a Coptic Christian because this is all I know. So I think that's a big one. And for them to not like accept that, that's a big red flag to me. And that's my personal red flag. But there are things where there are sometimes people who don't find religion to be a huge deal. They don't mind. They can, you know, I guess, I don't want to say negotiate their time, but they're able to kind of be in both aspects of life, and that's not a big one. So,
what do you think, Marianne?
I think there are red flags that could be universal potentially. I do like the addition of the concept of yellow flags. And I heard that in a book called True Love Dates by Deborah Fileta. I think she's great. But it's, so she's got red flags, yellow flags, and green flags. And so red flags is kind of like, to me, I think what probably should be universal would be things like lying. Like for me, any kind of lie at any point, whether big or small, was a sign for me to run for the hills. And, you know, and like dating can be fun and you feel butterflies and you have all these feelings and, you know, I'm not saying to be like super analytical of everything. Enjoy those feelings, but don't necessarily believe them, right? Because when someone reveals a red flag to you, like lying, or maybe another one, it could be like any kind of abuse, any abusive behavior. So whether it's emotional, verbal, physical, of course. I think those are probably, I would say, universal. And then after that, definitely what Marina was saying, 100%. Like, you know, for me as a Christian, a red flag for me would be someone who's not Christian, right? And then yellow flags would be like things that make me pause to ask questions because, for me, a yellow flag was divorce. If the person was previously divorced, it's not necessarily a red flag. I'm not going to run for the hills, but I'm going to pause to ask some questions. Be like, well, maybe what was that relationship like? Do you feel like you grew from that relationship? What does commitment mean to you? And those kinds of things, to just help me gauge how they think and what their perspectives are. Because when you listen and you ask open-ended questions and you're listening with curiosity, you're trying to like get into their inner world, right? That helps you to really gauge if this person is the right fit for me or not. Yeah, I think there's red flags that are specific for certain people, for sure. But I don't know. I feel like lying and abuse would be very universal.
Yeah.
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 Wow, that's really good. Waba Saba, do you remember any red flags that you had back in the day of dating? Because I don't know if like red flags was like a thing, or if you just like have things in mind that you were looking for or not looking for. I'm just curious.
I wasn't looking, y'all. Anyone who knows my story knows I met Chris when I was 20 years old. I was not looking for anything. I had no idea what the heck I was doing. God just is really nice. And I think there are very specific reasons why I met Chris when I did. Yeah, like I think he was saving me from something, God was saving me from something. But do I remember red flags? I mean, I don't know. I was really needing someone like on my level intellectually, as well as like the religion thing was definitely big, but Chris and I connected immediately on multiple levels, which was really important. So I do think it's very difficult, especially for very educated, smart, successful women, you know, like the women that are sitting here with us today, because it gets harder and harder to find guys on your level, and maybe who are not intimidated by your success and all your degrees and your education, you know, and your independence, because at some point in your life, you know, you learn to start being independent, right? If you're still single. So I think it just gets, unfortunately, more challenging, you know, the older that you get. But I would say that I love your idea of yellow flags. And you got to be discerning. So this is my question for you guys, and you know, I'm sure many people have this. How do you balance? Like, people always tell you, I'm sure, when you're still dating, be open, right? If you might meet somebody, and like, I can remember, you know, some of the ladies at church, you know, saying, oh, you know, you might not think he's cute, or you might not think he's funny or whatever, but just be open, give him a chance, right? Give him a chance. So how do you kind of balance this being open and, you know, with being a little bit picky, because you have to be discerning, you know, like you know your worth at this stage. We know like what we're looking for, like you said, kind of knowing yourself. But you want to have this balance. You do want to be open. I think a lot of people have the story that maybe they didn't want to give someone a chance, and then they did. And, you know, it turned out really great. Like, it wasn't at all what they were expecting, you know, or what they were looking for on paper, perhaps. So that, I think do you guys agree that's kind of hard to balance, that, like, those two mentalities?
Sure. Especially being a single female, Coptic female at 35. Are you kidding me? I get the look every week like, oh, is there's no ring on your finger?
Yeah. No, okay. Well, forget the people giving you the look. But for you, because you know you're not trying to waste your time, right? Like, you know, you're not trying to waste your time. You're very mature at this stage, and like, you're thinking, you know what you want, but you don't want to shut people down, you know, too quickly either. So I just like feel like that's so difficult.
It is. I absolutely agree. But I will say, I was given this gift that I am able to understand people pretty early on. I really do thank God for this, because I feel like I'm very observant. I am able to have a conversation with somebody and say, I don't know if this would work out, but I don't turn anybody down. If you're trying, I'll at least give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll try to have a conversation. I'm not feeling anything, and if I'm uncomfortable, I'm not going to go through with it. And people say, oh, go on a second date, talk to them some more, maybe you'll learn something else. Honestly, if you really feel it in your gut that you're not comfortable, don't do it. That's my opinion. Maybe that's why I'm still single. But I genuinely feel like if I feel like God is going to make it easier. When you find your person, you know your person. And I'm sure you guys can all relate. That first conversation is everything. That first, like, sit down, like, let's put everything on the table. And if you don't feel it, you're not going to go back and say, hey, you know what? I wasn't really comfortable. Let me talk to you again. So it's absolutely a struggle. But you do want to be fair. And like, at the end of the day, yes. If it's okay, then go on a second date. If you're not like, you know, butterflies. I don't really get butterflies anymore, you know? I mean, it's great. I wish I did. But at this point, you're so like rational and like logical about things. It's not like you're, you know, looking for the whole package, because it doesn't exist. There's no perfect person out there. So definitely be open.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing that you're not getting butterflies. I almost like, so, because Marina is the one who introduced me to Andrew. And actually, like, you were giving the example of, like, you know, being resistant in the beginning. Both Andrew and I were resistant to the beginning. I was in Canada. He was in the U.S. Marina told me about him like 3 times over the span of a couple of years. So she was fairly, like, she gave me space, but she was fairly persistent. And I remember the first time I was in an on and off relationship. Second time I was just over all men, all of them. And then the third time I was like, okay, fine. just I'll try it so that she doesn't keep asking, you know? And so when I kind of went in without any sort of expectations, I don't remember the saying anymore, but it's so good. It's like something like it's only when you let go of expectation and outcome that you can enjoy the journey that is life. And I really feel when you let go of the burden of expectation, that's when you can really get to dig deep into who the person is, and without listening to them from the lens of all these weird expectations. You know what I mean? So I feel like letting go of expectations in who they should be, how they should look like, how tall they are, how how successful they are, or where they should live, or all of those things. Let go of those expectations, but you keep with you as your guide your values, your boundaries, your red flags, your green flags. If you want some purple flags, throw them in there. But you have your sort of pillars to help you make the decision at the end of the day, so that you don't get lost in feelings. And I don't know if I ever finished my thought, but getting feelings in the beginning is sometimes not always good. Sometimes it's good when you start off rational and then the feelings come, because that's actually how it happened for me and Andrew. I started off rational, I gave him the chance, and then the feelings came as we created more connection. We had more meaningful conversations, and I was like, ooh, this person makes me feel good about myself. This person makes me happy. This person makes me laugh. So, yeah.
Wow. I love all of that. It's so beautiful. I'm going to be quiet because I know we have more questions, but I just wanted to acknowledge and validate how incredible those responses were.
Well, I think the problem is we're conditioned to believe there has to be butterflies and immediate sparks, from literally every single media presentation of a love story, right? Or of a relationship. So that's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say what you said, Marianne, that you can just start off just being like, okay, this person's fine, and we'll see how it goes. And it develops. And I imagine that's probably more common than just your experience. So yeah, I'd be curious to know, like, to take a poll of how many people were like, not in a bad way, but just kind of like, we'll see what happens. And then, they fell in love in a healthy fashion versus, the butterflies. And then we all have experienced people in our lives where that turned out horribly. The instant butterfly, the sparks and the chemistry, didn't sustain a relationship, because unfortunately we do overlook a lot of things when you have all that emotion kind of clouding your judgment. So yeah, that was a good point. It makes me think that we should have these maybe core non-negotiables, right? Because like you said, okay, kind of forget about what they look like, what, how much money they make, where they live, like these extra things. Like I imagine myself with, a writer who loves the beach and who blah, 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 but all that stuff is meaningless, right? Like just put that all aside. And what are the non-negotiables? He's got to make me feel good about myself. Like you said, he's got to make me feel safe. He's got to be kind, right? He's got to be honest. He's got to, like, these things. And that's all that matters. And if you find that, or you think you're finding that, then yeah, like stay open. I think maybe that's kind of where that balance is, with trying to be discerning, but still stay open. So it's almost like the superficial stuff, be open to that, right? To stuff that you didn't really plan for or whatever, but hold true to those non-negotiables that are the things that are going to sustain your relationship, right? The true essence of that person,
I also think that emotional intelligence is something that we kind of don't talk about too. I know with the world that we live in right now, and like I said, the older I get, the harder it is to find somebody without quote unquote baggage. And I think the biggest baggage is not having emotional intelligence. And and I think that also goes with how they make you feel. So for example, we always quote the love languages. I'm a big fan of love languages, and I use them very frequently in my relationships and in dating. So, for example, if this person cannot give you the certain love language that you need, I believe it will not help your relationship, and it will only get worse. So I feel like being with somebody emotionally intelligent and also being emotionally intelligent and like able to, communicate that I don't feel loved. When you do this for me, that is not what makes me feel loved. I appreciate when you give me compliments. I appreciate when you ask about me, or, if I'm having a rough day, make sure I'm okay. Send me a cookie. Send me, a flower. It's little things that you don't think about and that take no time at all. Even a little text. Hey, I am thinking about you. I know you had a rough day. Those go so far. And I'm kind of spoiled because my girlfriends are all like that. And I always say if I had, that in a relationship, that I would be married right now. So I think that is why I have such high standards, maybe because I have such amazing females in my life that have, spoiled me with the things that I need and taking the time to understand what I need to feel loved, and have given it to me. So when you are out there dating, yes, being able to feel loved is appreciated is the biggest thing that I look at in a partner. So yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Yes, that's huge. I also feel like if we're talking about green flags, I also feel like having a growth mindset is very important. Just kind of having a student's heart, so that when you share, like, hey, this is my love language. I feel more loved when you give me words of affirmation. If they hear that and they actually they take it in and then they actually apply it and they do it, and you see that they accept constructive criticism without being defensive, that to me is just such, like, that is a green flag. Go ahead, that is good. This is a person who's going to be a lifelong learner and you can grow with. Yeah.
I love that. What Marina and Marianne hit on something that I think is one of the beautiful things about therapy. When I was dating, having somebody who was mental health friendly, that was like a must. Like, I've been in therapy. I talked about this for a while on this podcast. So I've been in therapy for over 10 years. It is amazing. Jesus in therapy, that's what wrecked my life. And those things are so important to me. And I'm like, I need somebody who also has those things in common, because there's a sense of openness and a sense of being unoffendable and open to that growth mindset and open to emotional intelligence that, in my opinion, and in my marriage, those things are super important to have. And so I mentioned that just because a lot of our communities and the people who listen, we come from backgrounds that are not mental health friendly. And so something that I was really listening to when I was dating is how people talk about therapy, how they talk about people who take psychiatric medications, right? Is there a really big judgment around people who want to utilize seeing a psychiatrist? How do you feel about taking vitamins, things like that? What does it look like for you to grow? And then are you offended if I'm trying to grow? Are you threatened if I'm trying to grow? So I love that you highlighted those things, because I think that could help people see the value, like what Wabasaba was saying, past the superficial stuff. What's the value that you're going for? It's not really about your job. I just want to make sure you're financially stable and you know how to budget. If you can do that, if you can pay your rent, if you can pay all the things you have, like, we're going to be fine, and you could do that with whatever type of job that you have. And going to therapy really does help with things like that. So I love that you highlighted that.
So I want to ask a question. I appreciate, first of all, you guys even letting me in this conversation in my 20-year-old relationship. I'm the old married lady here, but I do have friends and loved ones who are still in this process, obviously. So how can we support you if you're in this process? Like, what are the do's and don'ts? Like, I'm sure you've heard many things that you're like, oh my God, if I hear someone say this to me one more time, right, like, I'm going to lose it. So, like, what are the things that, like, we should and shouldn't do to support you? And Marianne and Rachel, sorry, I know I'm going to put you on the spot, Marina, but the two of you, it hasn't been that long since you've been in the dating sphere. So feel free to remember also. But I want to know, what I can do because I love you, so what can I do?
Absolutely. Keep being the best role model that you have been for me. Honestly, Marianne Wabasaba, I've talked to her for years. I've known her for probably the same time she's been dating Chris.
Longer. Yeah.
Much longer. But I have had such an amazing influence from you guys. It's unreal. You don't know how much of a role model you are. So keeping that. Another thing is be patient with us. Don't be you need to get out there. I mean, everybody does it at their own pace. Not that you ever did that, but I would also say if you meet any great people, set your friends up. Look your sister up. Absolutely. I know I'm always on the lookout for my friends. 100%. I never married, single, whatever. I am always on the lookout.
Yeah, clearly, yes. We have a success story here. Yes.
I do. Thank God. Yeah, definitely that. Also, just listen and give me your input. I mean, me personally, I like criticism. I want to be better. So I want you to say, I noticed this red flag in the guy you're dating. I don't know, tell me about it. How do you feel about it? Because you've known me long enough to know, hey, this is what she tolerates, this is what she does not tolerate. So be honest. Tell your friends what you think. And obviously in a nice, friendly, sensitive way.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think it is very important for us to get input from our friends, because I don't these are the people that I talk to about my dating life. It's not, I don't talk to a lot of people. So yeah.
I actually have a question for you, because I feel like I have wanted to maybe speak into the life of some of my friends. But if they don't ask, I feel like I don't have any place to share. I feel like if I share it out of nowhere, it's probably going to come off as judgmental. So yeah, how do you share your perspective, maybe something that you feel might be helpful, if they're not necessarily asking? If that makes sense.
I feel like, when you said you were dating, you would ask questions, right? Ask questions around it. You don't have to directly be oh, what do you think? Or I think ask questions around it. I mean, Marianne, Canada Marianne has been one of my friends also for a very long time. So we have a very, open communication. So I feel just ask around it. I will always give as much as I can. And if I need to filter some stuff, I will, just for my emotional health, my emotional well-being. Sometimes you just don't want to talk about certain things. You've been through something rough, something happened. But overall, I will never be upset from a conversation. And that's my personal opinion versus anybody else. Sometimes people have a hard time communicating and putting their emotions on the line. And yeah, I say ask. It's sometimes the best way.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like saying it'll work out when it's supposed to. Is that helpful?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Okay. It's not triggering?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, to me, it's not. To somebody else, it might be. I genuinely do believe that. So when you say that, no, I agree with you. But some people are more sensitive. Some people have been dating and have had less success with relationships than I have. So at the end of the day, I've been blessed regardless. So to me, yes, absolutely. That's a great thing to say. Everything happens for a reason, all that. When the time comes, it'll come. But no, it's not triggering to me personally. No.
Do you think
what has been?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it's okay. You're the host.
No, please. You're the guest, which means I'm always talking. So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
What do you feel was a very encouraging thing you heard from someone? What
Good
was
question.
an encouraging thing that someone said that made you feel oh, that's cool. Yeah.
when my friends tell me that I'm a catch and I deserve the best. That's very encouraging. Like I
You
said
are
that
a
in the
catch,
beginning.
and you deserve the
Thank
best.
you. You're so sweet. Thank you guys. But I feel like hearing that from people you don't hear that from often, and you're in a low situation, yeah, it absolutely feels amazing because these people see you every day. They are not the people you are dating for 3 hours or 6 hours, and your people are your people. They know you through and through, inside and out. So it means a lot when you do compliment them. And that's to me, because that's my love language. I do love words of affirmation. For somebody else, it might be something different. But for me, that is it.
I think everyone can use the reminder every now and then. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for anything, even in work, in life. You can always use that reminder.
Yeah. You guys, this has been super helpful. I really hope, other people feel seen and understood, and just like I'm not the only one out here struggling, when they hear this. But thank you guys so much. I know we could talk for many, many more hours, but, we try to keep it so that people actually want to listen, right? But unless you have something like you're dying to say, like, that you're going to kick yourself later, I didn't say this and I need to say it. Anything?
If anybody has questions or anything about my life outside of this, feel free to reach out. I have no problem answering questions. I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot. I've lived a lot of places. So I would love to hear questions. I would love to give my input if you will have it. So, and thank you guys again for having me.
Of course. Yeah, we'll link your Instagram if that's okay with you, or whatever you prefer to have people reach you. Yeah. I'll let Rachel Ann take it away with the closing.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, Marina and Marianne, for being a part of this really incredible episode. Wabasaba, we need to talk about a part 2, 3, 4, because this was really, really good. And I know for the people in my life, both my clients, but also my friends and the people I interact with daily, these are questions and things that people are wondering about. And we don't have enough safe spaces to be vulnerable about these things. Dating is hard, especially as a Christian, especially as a woman that has mad degrees and is like not intimidating. Like, we're just smart, but that's fine. Like, we still like to eat Taco Bell. I do at least.
Yes.
Speak for yourself.
Not Wabasaba, right? Okay, so just me and Marina. Good to know. So I say all that to say, Marina kindly offered to connect with people. Marina, how can people do that? Is that Instagram, email?
I would say Instagram.
Okay, awesome. Where can people find you on Instagram?
I think it's Ruffles27.
Awesome. And we'll link that below. Marianne, if people want to get in touch with you, are there ways that they could do that?
Yes, I would love to get any questions from anybody. Also happy to share whatever I can. And it would be Instagram as well. Yeah, I think that'd be perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And where can people find you on Instagram?
It's Atia Marianne, ATIAMARIAN.
Cool. We'll link it below. I just wanted to make sure for our more audio learners that they were able to hear that. And Marianne she's working on something cool. I won't say anything. She's working on something cool that we may have to update y'all a little bit later about it. That may or may not be pertaining to this topic. So if you want to connect with Wabasaba, you can find her on Instagram at just that, Wabasaba. If you want to connect with me, I'm at Real with Rachel Ann. All of the links are down below. If you're like, wow, I have burning questions, or wow, I have ideas for topics, email us or DM us. You can find us on Instagram at Connected Wellness Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook at Connected Wellness Podcast. You can also email us at connectedwellnesspodcast@gmail.com. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Wabasaba for our concluding statement for
Thank
the
you
day.
guys so much for listening. Thank you, Marianne and Marina, for being here. And in your dating life and in general, we wish you to be well, and we'll see you next time.
See y'all. Be well, everybody. Bye.
Bye.